as we continue to sit together, there's a bit of a warm echo inside of me right now, that reminder, the Zoom voice that says recording in progress. But what is set up as I'm sitting with you is the sense of how we make impressions on each other, like in a recording. The recording in progress here, how we shape each other and affect each other. Our lives impact each other and weave together. So many of you are familiar with the small verse of confession or repentance that we use. All our ancient twisted karma from beginningless greed, hate, and delusion, born through body, speech, and mind, we now fully avow. It's not exactly a record of our deeds, and yet everything we do and think and our intentions influence everything else. So there's recording in progress. What you do matters. Your intentions matter. How you respond to others matters. And we're quite sensitive recording devices. All the tangled and twisted karma. So I think it's a useful reminder. As we shift from our silent sitting in zazen to some reflections I'll offer, and then our conversations and connection, let's voice the 4 practice principles here in the beginning as a way to remind ourselves of the ways that we are coming to the heart of the practice. We start with caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding to self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, is compassion's way. And as I said, pardon my raspy voice. I like the last few weeks, I've had a little struggle knowing or even finding something to offer, to say, not because there's not things to say, but other things have been a priority. And it was hard. And so much is being lost. It just seems that so much is being lost. And I, I can't remember exactly how Trudy said it a few weeks ago. Maybe it was a kind of a challenge, or maybe it's just a question. Something like, do you dare to feel joy? At least that's how it remained in me. I don't think that's the way she said it, but it's that kind of question that um, David White refers to in his poem sometimes, where he says, there're certain kind of questions that can make or unmake a life, questions that have patiently waited for you, questions that have no right to go away. Like, what should I say? How should I meet you? And these kind of questions are the kind of questions that inform our practice, and also the ones I hope you'll bring here. The essential kind of questions, not because they're going to be answered, but because we all share, I think, longings and fears. And that's the place where the gate of practice opens, in that shared space. We step through together, if we're lucky, if we're fortunate, if we're paying attention, and if we let ourselves walk together. So much is being lost. And I keep coming back to this as a theme lately in inquiry, because all of you keep coming to me with the fear and the anguish that goes with the kind of losses that we're experiencing and living through at the moment. And some of these losses are very public and shared. They make the evening news. We see them on the BBC. But some of them are quite personal, very quiet and tender. But either way, practice is the same. Turn toward the moment rather than turn away. Meet what you find there with some curiosity. And if you're not curious, but instead you have some reactivity, then meet that with compassion. Keep noticing your habit patterns, especially the ones you mistake for the truth. Remember that all of your pain and sorrow and all of your fear and rage are impermanent contents of your awareness that you can witness rather than act out. And encourage each other with warm care, and take care of each other and receive the care that's offered. There are a lot more aspects to practice, but I don't think these are bad. They're pretty good, helpful household hints to remind us, um, especially as so much is being lost. Do you dare feel joy? Do you dare feel gratitude? This week I received a message of love and support from one of you, and along with it came a poem. This is, my weekly Dharma thing that I received. And it touched me so much. And through the week, when I kept thinking of, what should I talk about? What teaching should I bring? This wouldn't leave me alone. So I was like, okay, I'll use it. And because I see that the person who sent it to me is here, I'm going to screen share it so you can see it. It's a 14-line poem. It's not very long. And I'll ask Clayton if she'll read it, because she can say if she wants. She had just read it, I believe, in a memorial service or something that had. So let me share it here, and Clayton can unmute herself in a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
And you can say whatever you want to about it, Clayton, before you read it if you want, and don't have to.
Oh, yeah. I learned about Ross Gay because of Flint's practice discussion groups, and it was one of my sharings one time, not this poem, but another piece of his writing. And he's someone I come to when a lot is lost. Thank You by Ross Gay. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says, "You are the air of the now and gone," that says all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there. Do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it. And do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor. Say only thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll read it again just so we can get it inside a little bit. Thank You by Ross Gay. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says, "You are the air of the now and gone," that says, "All you love will turn to dust and will meet you there." Do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it. And do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor. Say only thank you. Thank you. So I don't know how it lands for you. We could probably have a lot of discussion about it, but I'm the one that gets to talk now. And thank you, Clayton, for sending that. Obviously, the poet's acknowledging the reality of our mortality, the great matter, we call it in Zen. But then he guides us towards joy and wonder, accepting life's some of his imagery, maybe life's seasons, because he's choosing gratitude over despair, or maybe I think better, not exactly gratitude over despair, but maybe he's choosing gratitude alongside despair as a partner. So what I want to do, since this is all I could come up with, and I was grateful for Clayton's sharing it, is walk through the poem as if we're hearing a Dharma talk together, because I think it is a Dharma talk. And what I want to offer as we walk through it are my impressions. This is not an analysis of the poem. Heaven spare us that. It's bear with me, if you will. as we walk along, the poem is complete, as all poems are. So it doesn't need anything else. It certainly doesn't need my comments. What I want to offer is what it woke up in me about loss and love and my own fragile and amazing life. So I'm going to read these 14 brief lines of the poem and in two sections, one half at a time, kind of echoing the way he starts in the beginning about being half naked, offering what came through me, and maybe it will invite something that will come through you um, in this great, generous Dharma that we have been so blessed to discover and to practice together. So just it's an artificial break here of the first half. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says, you are the air of the now and gone, that says all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there. So we just go line by line. If you find yourself half naked, I love that if you find yourself, like you're surprised, like you didn't do it, but suddenly you discover that you're exposed, at least some. It's like a shock, but only half naked. And it seems to me exactly the way I feel in practice. I'm going merrily along, sitting zazen or walking kinhin or meeting in practice discussion, and then suddenly I find myself exposed, more vulnerable. It's like, how did this happen? I don't remember raising my hand or coming forward and then or you know that feeling? It's like suddenly you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass. So it's grounded. I'm grounded. I'm touching the earth, feeling the invitation of the earth and the warning that it's cold, something you could recoil from, the frosty grass, which I'll be able to walk in pretty soon, either in Madison or in the south of England, I'm sure. Because in this way, it's not yet warm, it's not yet spring. And how many times in practice do I feel I'm not yet ready for what's to come? I feel vulnerable. I feel exposed, half naked, barefoot, without shoes, feeling the earth, feeling what's there, feeling sometimes a bit cold. I'm like, maybe I'm not warmed up or ready. And then the next line, hearing. You find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing. W.S. Merwin one time in an interview said, you must want to listen. You must want to listen. And in practice, we might be opened. You might actually, for once, touch some bit of reality that's being warmed up and made available, but it's not being made pretty for you. Listen. What do you hear? What's actually there? Do you want to listen? If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan, again, that line again starts again and again and again. How many times do we have to hear the same message and the same teachings? And how many times do I have to repeat the same teachings? Because it's all there is to say, really. There isn't anything else. Again and again. And in this line, again, the earth's great sonorous moan, the earth's impossibly deep and resonant moan, which is meant by sonorous, this impossibly deep and resonant, but a moan, but that invites another question. We moan sometimes in pleasure and we moan sometimes in suffering. Which is it? Or is that the question? Again, the earth's great sonorous moan again and again, barefoot and half naked, standing on the earth, hearing. What? The next line that says, you are the air of the now and gone. It's a strange kind of wording. That says, this moan that says, you are the air of the now and gone. You are the breath of life. Your breathing is life itself, in and out, birth and death, the embodiment of impermanence. Impermanence, that immortal continuation, impermanence, that asks, like the moon, where are you directing me? What direction should I go? And the next line starts again. That says, again, that says, all you love will turn to dust. And that's the line that stops us. You will lose everything you love. And the continuation of that line in the poem that says, all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there. What will meet you there? As I was walking through this, what do you mean? And then I was kind of searching back through the poem. And for me, it's that sonorous moan. You will inevitably meet pleasure, and you will inevitably meet suffering with every breath. And you will love and you will be loved, however imperfect you think it is. And you will meet all of this all the way to the end, to the last breath. Life will not abandon you, even when we meet that thing we call death. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's sonorous, great sonorous moan that says, you are the air of the now and gone, and says, all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there. And the poem continues now, the second half. Do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it. And do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor. Say only thank you. Thank you. Do not raise your fist. And so many of us are going to hear the echo of Dylan Thomas. Do not go gently into that good night, rage, rage against the dying of the light. You know, that very different approach. Fight it. Don't accept it. Don't let it knock you down. But Roske says, do not raise your fist. It's kind of an abrupt refrain from. You know, in the entire fascicle that Dogen wrote on the pure precepts that I talked about last week, he keeps going back to what it means to refrain from. Don't raise your fist. Don't raise your small voice. And I'm not showing you right now, but in the line break, it says, raise your fist, do not raise. Raise, do not raise. Which is it? Do not raise your small voice against it. Not, don't push against life as it is. The great matter, your voice is small, and the great matter is great. And do not take cover, the next line. You know, I've already found myself half naked. Remember, so in your barefoot in the frosty grass, you're already exposed. Don't take Don't hold back in practice, in your life, in your relationships, in love, in loss. Don't hold back. Give yourself to life. It's giving itself to you, everything, even if you don't want what's offered. What are you going to make of it? And the next line, instead, curl your toes into the grass, like a child curling our toes into the sand and the grass and the mud. Do you remember that? Curling your toes, turning toward getting into what you discover right where you're standing, wherever you're standing. And then watch the cloud ascending from your lips, that frosty breath, the cloud, the air of the now and gone earlier. Not just listening, but watching. Watch the cloud ascending. See the truth of life moving through you, around you, if you're willing to open your eyes and see it, to listen, to see, and the next line, walk through the garden's dormant splendor. It's early spring here, and there's only a few blossoms on some of the fruit trees, but the green leaves are just coming, and they're hints of what is to become, and the splendor of this kind of renewal. Can you walk through your own life's dormant splendor, knowing that there's more possibility. There's more possibility of what will come, and there's more possibility of what will go, what walk through the Gordon's dormant splendor. In Mary Oliver's poem, Messenger, there's a segment which I just love. She says, "Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished." Maybe it's not the way you would want it to be, but it's the splendor of what's being offered. And then the final two lines say only thank you. So it's my turn to say something, to embody something, to bow to something. Say only, bow only, embody only, turn only to thank you. And then the last line, thank you. Again in the end. The only appropriate response to life and death, really. It's all the loss because much was here that you've had that you can lose. You've experienced the loss because there have been great gifts, gifts you could never imagine, even if they're the ones you didn't want, as I said. And once again, the poem, just to put it back together again. If you find yourself half naked and barefoot in the frosty grass, hearing again the earth's great sonorous moan that says, you are the air of the now and gone, that says, all you love will turn to dust and will meet you there. Do not raise your fist. Do not raise your small voice against it. And do not take cover. Instead, curl your toes into the grass. Watch the cloud ascending from your lips. Walk through the garden's dormant splendor, saying only, thank you. Thank you. And as I walked through this poem and wrote these reflections, that the way it was moving through me and the Dharma that I could feel in it, I don't know how, but somehow I was looking through another poem by the Vietnamese poet and writer Ocean Vuong. Some of you know this writer. On Earth, We're Briefly Gorgeous, I think is the name of his memoir. And there's another poem he's written called Someday I'll Love Ocean Vuong. Someday I'll love myself. And in it, these lines just were the postscript to this. He's writing to himself. He says, the most beautiful part of your body is where it's headed. And remember, loneliness is still time spent with the world. The most beautiful part of your body is where it's headed. And remember, loneliness is still time spent with the world. So I hope this is not too dreary for you in some ways, but it was extremely encouraging and touching to me as I reflect on all that's being lost, all that I'm afraid of losing, all that I feel I'm losing right in front of me. And if this touches places in you that you want to meet, once again, not as to answer questions, but to meet them deeply, and please raise your hand. I'd love to walk with you, to listen with you, to look with you. Yeah, Rosemary.
Hi, Flint. Thank you so much. The you must want to listen. That piece.
Merwin.
Yeah. I was recently in a Hakomi session, and it was just, as happens with me in Hakomi, it just brings a lot of emotion right away that I don't, like you said, I'm just sitting there and boom. And I clearly, did not want to listen. And I find it's a constant, and I appreciated this reminder, but it's very deep to want more to be pulled together and to really befriend all the parts.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just a challenge all the time.
And that's part of why I said, and if what you meet you're not curious about, you don't want to, then meet that with compassion.
Oh, okay, that's another one. No,
Instead of,
really.
instead of saying meet everything with curiosity, and then when you don't, feeling bad about it and trying to make yourself curious, no, that part's there for a reason. Meet it with compassion.
Thank you. That's another. Well, it's just, yeah, it's like the Russian dolls. You meet one thing and the next thing to be met with compassion too.
Oh,
Yeah, lesson. One other thing is that in Peter Hershak talks about loss and Kisagutami when she goes from house to house, and we all know that when she knocked on the doors of her neighbors with her dead baby, that there was no home that did not have suffering. But he takes it a little further to say when the neighbor opens the door, they are also re-experiencing their loss, and then so I appreciate your coming forward because it brings to us
mhm.
getting back in touch with the losses we've had.
Yeah, the losses and the grief, which is all of the unexpressed love,
Exactly,
all
exactly.
of the love that remains.
Yeah, and Ross Gay also brings, in one of his stories says, we have a sorrow party. Bring, my sorrow will meet your sorrow. Thank you so much.
That's what we're having. Huh? Yeah, Bonnie.
Hello.
Right.
Um, Really, all I want to say is thank you. I want to say thank you to Clayton for sending me that poem. Um, it touched a very tender and deep place in me. From the beginning, your words about so much is being lost. It feels kind of like everything, everywhere, all at once. And without this practice, oof, I don't know. Um,
It would
so,
still be lost, but you would be different.
yes, thank you. Yeah, that's true. I would be responding in a very different way.
Mm.
So mainly what I want to say is thank you. And knowing, as Rosemary was just saying, that, we all share in our various forms our sorrows and sadness and losses and grief. And so simply being here, and especially today being here with you, feels very uplifting. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you um, listening to my reflections. And it too, because receiving what I'm offering you that's vulnerable to me is a gift to me, and that's a beautiful thank you. Trudy. I didn't read the Merwin poem, but I could have.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just slightly struck by Josh and I looking like a jumper advert, but
What about that one?
unintentional. So yeah, very, I love that poem. Um, but I had my eyes closed when you were first reading it, so I hadn't read it. And I heard it as we are the HEIR, heir of, and,
Hmm.
and so it had such a different feel for me of like, this is our legacy. Like, I love that idea of like we are the breath, but there was something in that about we're the heirs of this, we're the heirs of the lives we've lived and all the lives that everyone else has lived. And here we are with whatever legacy is we're holding in our hands. So,
Recording in progress.
recording in progress, really recording in progress. And then I've been having a conversation with someone about the dakinis,
Mhm.
talking about that kind of energy, and from years ago, like the 1980s or something. I've got an oracle deck, the Secret Dakini Oracle, which is mighty weird. It's a thing, and and I thought today I haven't used it for a couple of decades, and today I pulled one, and it was, the mask that David White talks about at the guardian of the temple.
Oh, right, right, right. In Faces of Braga.
Ace of Braga, it's the sort of that real fierce mask. Um,
Fierce figure on the side of good.
that and the thing in the oracle is guardian, and someone asked me today, like, how are you managing? How are you managing with, everything that's going on? What are you doing? And I said I'm leaning into joy, into creativity and art and music and a certain kind of wildness.
Mhm.
Um,
What do you got to lose?
yeah, what you got to lose?
Everything, anyway.
Exactly. It's all going, it's probably always has been, but right now it's a little florid. There's something about that. And in these meetings that we have with each other that feel so um, tender and touching to me. Um, it's like, how do we keep offering each other?
Mhm.
That this is nothing new, and totally personal and not personal at all. Um,
Exactly. So many people have asked lately, me and Aaron, though, they say, well, how are you doing? And I think they expect all kinds of responses. But I said, peaceful,
mm,
tender,
yeah, yeah, and I can really.
quiet, peaceful, and tender,
um,
appreciating every moment, which is the practice anyway.
yeah, So I hope we can offer you some frost.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure you will. Maybe frost, a few bluebells, maybe late daffodils. They're probably gone, but a few things. Some new
Yeah.
peonies, some birds, and
There'll be much
uh,
to be with.
new lambs.
Mm. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
Mm. She's back.
I just, in the face of so much loss, it really is one of the most healing things just to hear you read a poem. And it's so simple. And I feel like I want to, I just want to do it all the time. like,
Yeah, me too.
and not just the way you do it, you offer it as a gift for us. And then I feel like I have it in me to go and create that sacred space for other people, um, because you've opened that up in me. And so, and I know we're talking about loss, but there's actually nothing fuller and more abundant and more like nourishing than that simple exchange. So it's so cool the way, like you said, that the sorrow and the gratitude are just so woven together. And thank you for highlighting that for us.
Yeah, yeah, to me, it doesn't feel heavy and negative or dark. There's a beautiful richness to it that part of me craves, actually.
Well, of course, we all want you to be like, I'm so happy that you feel like you're walking through the splendor. You particularly, I know we all are, but given what all the change in your life right now, it's so soothing to me to know that you're walking through the splendor.
It's true. I walk weeping most days, but not because it's a terrible thing. It was a kind of a beautiful terror about it, but yeah, to feel this fully is a gift. To love this much is a gift.
Well, you are so good at teaching us how to love more fully too. So I know that I will do my best to um, keep that love close. And so thank you, Flint.
Sure. We keep each other close. That's one of the great gifts.
Yeah, thank you. And it is crazy how it's just such something so simple as a 12-line poem shared between friends for an hour on a Tuesday can feel like that splendor. So thank you.
Yeah, yeah. There's so many things to choose from, and I'm appreciative of your offering it because it wouldn't leave me alone. So I knew that that's what needed to be.
Yeah.
These days, I think just because of where I am, I could go to more classical texts, more traditional Buddhist teachings, more, all the things, and it just falls flat. Not because it's not full of goodness. It's just it's not what I'm called to at the moment, and yet it's all completely there. The poem I just read doesn't miss anything from all the Dharma that we've shared for these God knows how many years. So I find I want to turn the light on where it is, where I find it, where it moves in my body. So thank you. another of my students who loves poetry, who writes a lot of poetry, actually, wrote, it's quite a long poem, actually. I'm not going to read it, it's not the point, but wrote a poem in response to these things that we're talking about. It was actually to me and Aaron, for me, the title, I'll tell you, because it's a beautiful title. It's enough, it's a poem itself. The title is "We Began Before the Time of Lotus Blooms." Began before the time of lotus blooms. What is your face before your parents were born, as the old koan? What is the awake, abundant splendor and love that came before the lotus blossom, even before the Buddha? What's that? So let's now, with our voices, intone the verse of the robe, which is in a way an homage to that question and to that space. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. Vast is the robe of liberation, a formless field of benefaction. Wearing the universal teaching, I realize the one true nature, thus harmonizing all being. So I'm looking forward to seeing a number of you in person before too long. Next week, I'll be in Madison, and I'll get to see a number of you in person. And if I don't see you in person, maybe I'll see some of you online who will be in the hybrid part of the retreat. And then I'll make the long flight to the UK and be with Josh and Trudy and so many of you there. And it's quite a blessing to be in that part of the world in the spring. And I'll be able to touch some of you, which will be wonderful. And I feel blessed to have all of you taking such good care of me, and also a partner who insists that I go because he says it'll be good for you.
Thank you so much, Flint. And I just see we're about at our time. And I want to remind everybody that Appamada's programs and facilities, they're supported through your generosity. You can go to the website. There's a link for contributions there for Appamada as well as for individual teachers. And also invite you, if you want to stay for an extra 30 minutes, just stay right where you are, put yourself in gallery view, and we will continue this Sangha blessing.